Imagine a man so deeply connected with God that his prayer brought fire down from heaven. The story of the prophet Elijah is one of bold faith, miraculous acts, and unwavering belief in the power of divine energy. Elijah wasn't just any prophet. He was a man who stood against the false prophets of his time, confronted corrupt rulers, and invoked God's power in ways that left entire nations in awe. How did he achieve such closeness with God? And what can we learn from his incredible acts of faith? Elijah's life was filled with moments where his trust in God was tested, yet every time, he came out victorious by invoking divine energy through prayer. Whether it was bringing rain to end a devastating drought, raising the dead, or challenging hundreds of false prophets on Mount Carmel, Elijah showed that true faith can move mountains. But his story isn't just about miracles. It's about the relationship between man and God, and the power that is available to all of us when we believe. As we explore the life of Elijah, you'll see how his unwavering faith led to some of the most powerful demonstrations of God's energy ever recorded. This isn't just a story of ancient times. It's a reminder that the same divine energy Elijah invoked is still available today, waiting for us to call upon it with faith and conviction. The prophet Elijah stands out as one of the most powerful figures in the Bible, known for his unwavering faith in God. One of his most iconic moments came when he prayed for fire to fall from the sky. In a confrontation with the prophets of Baal, Elijah called upon the power of God to prove his divinity. His prayer was so powerful that it brought down fire from heaven, consuming the offering he had laid on the altar. This act not only demonstrated Elijah's connection with God, but also revealed the incredible energy that can be invoked through prayer and faith. This event wasn't just a display of divine power. It was a moment of profound spiritual significance. Elijah's prayer was a direct invocation of God's presence, proving that true faith can bridge the gap between heaven and earth. The fire from heaven was a response to a prophet who knew that through prayer, he could access the limitless energy of God. It was a reminder that with the right intention and deep belief, humans can tap into the divine power that exists all around us. For those seeking to deepen their own connection with God, Elijah's story offers a powerful lesson. When you call upon God with faith, as Elijah did, you are invoking an energy that is beyond human understanding. This story encourages us to recognize the strength of prayer, not just as a request for help, but as a way to align ourselves with the divine. Whether you're facing a challenge or simply seeking comfort, remember that invoking God's presence, as the prophet did, can bring profound peace and power into your life. Elijah's life was deeply impactful during one of the most challenging periods in Israel's history. Living in the 9th century BC, Elijah confronted the corrupt rule of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel, who had led Israel astray with the worship of false gods. Elijah's unwavering commitment to God made him a beacon of faith in a time when the nation had lost its way. His courage to stand against powerful rulers and call the people back to worship the true God showed the strength of his character and his deep connection with divine energy. Elijah's significance goes beyond just his prophetic acts. He was a living symbol of God's power and presence on earth. As a prophet, Elijah served as the voice of God, reminding the people of Israel of their covenant with him. His role was not just to predict the future, but to invoke God's energy in moments of crisis, bringing clarity and direction to the nation. Through his faith, Elijah demonstrated that even in times of great adversity, turning to God with sincere invocation could restore harmony and peace. Today, Elijah's life continues to serve as an inspiration for those seeking to strengthen their faith. His story teaches us that standing firm in the belief in God, even when surrounded by doubt and opposition, brings the energy of divine protection and guidance. Like Elijah, we can invoke God's presence in our own lives, finding the strength to overcome challenges and walk in faith, knowing that God is always with us. One of the most profound moments in Elijah's life was the miracle he performed in the town of Zarephath, also known as Sarepta. In a time of great famine, Elijah was sent by God to a widow and her son who were on the brink of starvation. With nothing left but a small amount of flour and oil, the widow was prepared for her final meal. Yet Elijah, filled with faith, asked her to prepare food for him first, assuring her that God would provide. This act of trust led to a miraculous supply of flour and oil that lasted throughout the famine, demonstrating the boundless energy that God can invoke in moments of desperation. The miracle didn't stop there. Not long after, the widow's son fell gravely ill and died. Once again, Elijah turned to God with fervent prayer, invoking divine energy to bring the child back to life. In a moment that shocked everyone, Elijah's prayer was answered, and the boy was resurrected. This incredible act of faith not only saved the child, but strengthened the widow's belief in God and the power of prayer. Elijah's invocation of God's power in this moment became a testament to the strength of faith and the miracles it can bring. The story of Zarephath is more than just a miracle. It's a reminder that in times of scarcity and fear, faith can bring abundance and restoration. For anyone facing difficult circumstances, Elijah's actions show that invoking God's presence with genuine faith can bring comfort and unimaginable blessings. His trust in God's provision, even in the bleakest of times, teaches us that the energy of the divine is always available to those who believe, transforming situations of despair into opportunities for miracles. After years of severe drought in Israel, the prophet Elijah once again turned to God in prayer. The nation had been suffering from a lack of rain, a punishment brought about by the disobedience of the people and their leaders. Elijah knew that only through the invocation of God's mercy could the land be restored. He ascended Mount Carmel and, with unwavering faith, began to pray for rain. Even when there was no immediate sign of relief, Elijah continued to pray, knowing that God's energy and timing were perfect. After sending his servant to look for signs of rain multiple times, finally, a small cloud appeared on the horizon. This seemingly insignificant cloud was a sign of the great blessing that was about to come. Elijah, confident in God's promise, knew that the drought was over. Soon, the skies opened, and rain poured down upon the land, quenching the earth and restoring life to the people of Israel. Elijah's faith in God's timing, even in the face of uncertainty, demonstrates the power of persistent prayer and the importance of trusting in divine energy. The end of the drought in Israel serves as a powerful reminder that, no matter how dry or desperate our circumstances may seem, invoking God's presence with unwavering faith can bring renewal and hope. Just as Elijah's prayers brought rain to a parched land, our prayers can bring comfort and restoration to the dry places in our lives. This story teaches us that faith, combined with patience and trust in God's plan, can lead to the blessings we need, even when we least expect them. One of the most dramatic moments in Elijah's life was the confrontation on Mount Carmel. The prophet boldly challenged the prophets of Baal in a public display of faith, calling on them to prove the power of their God. The terms were clear. Both sides would prepare a sacrifice, but no fire would be lit. Instead, each side would call upon their deity to bring down fire from heaven. The prophets of Baal spent hours in vain, invoking their God without success, their efforts met with silence. Elijah, confident in God's power, knew this was his moment to demonstrate the true energy of the Almighty. When it was Elijah's turn, he built an altar to God and soaked it with water, making it seemingly impossible for any fire to ignite. Then, in a powerful prayer, he invoked the name of God, asking him to reveal his divine presence to the people of Israel. Instantly, fire fell from heaven, consuming not only the sacrifice but also the water and the stones of the altar. This miraculous act not only proved that the God of Israel was the one true God, but also demonstrated Elijah's deep connection to divine energy through faith and invocation. The confrontation on Mount Carmel stands as a testament to the power of belief and the energy that can be invoked through unwavering faith in God. Elijah's boldness and trust in God's plan remind us that no matter how difficult the situation, invoking God's presence can lead to miraculous outcomes. This story encourages us to face challenges with confidence, knowing that when we stand in faith, we are never alone. God's energy is always with us, ready to respond. Following the miraculous fire from heaven on Mount Carmel, the fate of the prophets of Baal was sealed. After proving that the God of Israel was the one true God, Elijah commanded the people to seize the prophets of Baal. These false prophets had led the nation astray, convincing many to abandon their faith in God. Elijah, acting with divine authority, ensured that the worship of Baal would no longer threaten the spiritual integrity of Israel. The execution of the prophets of Baal was a decisive moment, signaling the end of their influence and the restoration of true worship in Israel. This act was more than just a physical victory. It was a spiritual cleansing for the nation. The removal of these false prophets symbolized the elimination of corrupt energy that had spread throughout the land. By invoking God's power, Elijah not only proved his divinity, but also restored harmony and spiritual balance to Israel. This moment highlighted the importance of confronting negative influences that distract us from our connection with God and the divine energy that sustains us. The end of the prophets of Baal serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of turning away from God. Just as Elijah stood firm in his faith and invoked God's presence to defeat false idols, we too are called to remain steadfast in our belief, even when facing opposition. This story encourages us to recognize the power of true faith and to eliminate anything in our lives that hinders our relationship with God, ensuring that we live in alignment with His divine will.